What's going on, everybody? Noah from Stage 3 here, and we are at SEMA 2022, and I wanted to bring you guys our top 3 Bronco builds from the show. So we're kicking things off here at ARB's booth with this first responder kind of concept build that they did on a 4-door Bronco, and obviously with it being ARB, there's a whole load of products on the outside of this thing. They've got their Summit bumper up front, they've got the high clearance bumper in the rear, we've got ARB's rock sliders on here, as well as a full set of skid plates, rear diff cover. Basically every piece of protection they offer for the Bronco is on this truck. And then they've got the base rack system up top with a couple accessories mounted, shovel and some extra recovery gear, things like that. And then moving to the inside of the Bronco and back, it's got their drawer system with a slide out tray with the fridge, and then a little bit of room with those racks on the side to kind of mount some equipment off of the roll bars, which is pretty neat. So there's definitely a big focus on utility with a truck like this, which I like, and they themed it to sort of this rapid first response medical aid theme, but this is also one of those things where a lot of these parts are going to be the same stuff that you're looking at for a little bit more of an overland build or even a technical rock crawler build where you want to carry a lot of that recovery gear with you, but you don't want it just sitting on the seat next to you or behind you in the cab. So with all that being said, let's move to the suspension underneath the truck, because there's a couple new items on this that aren't necessarily on the shelves yet, and some stuff that ARB is still working on, but one of those is going to be this new Old Man Emu suspension. This is their BP51 kit. So if you guys followed along with our build, we ran ARB's regular suspension, which is a 2-inch lift, and that kit is a really solid suspension. This one's a little different, whereas that has the ability to mix and match, and you can kind of pick and choose spring rates. This is a little more focused. It's a full coilover system, so everything's already assembled. You're not reusing top hats or taking apart factory components. So I'm excited to see this kit once it actually hits the market, and we maybe have a chance to test one of these or install one, but that's what this truck is sitting on right now. And then it's also got the 37-inch Nitto Recon grapplers, so a little bit of a lift to tuck them in there, and then it's just kind of a factory Bronco wheel that looks really slick on this truck. So overall, I think it's a rad build. Obviously the wrap and stuff is great too. I love the theming, and there's a couple nice touches from some Ford Performance product on here as well. They've got the tube doors up front that they kind of wrapped with vinyl cover and custom painted the handle sections on, and just added a few other accessories like the exhaust and whatnot. So yeah, I think this is a pretty strong starter and a build that a lot of people are going to like. It certainly has been garnering a lot of attention here at the show. There's been people crowding this truck constantly the whole time we've been trying to shoot it, but I think that's all I've got for you on this build, so let's move on to the second Bronco. All right, for the second Bronco build, we're over here at the Come Up Winch booth, and this Bronco is actually built by Expedition One, who does a lot of bumpers and racks, which is what you're going to see on this truck. But Come Up Winch put it in their booth with their winch and some of their equipment in it. It's a really cool Bronco just because it's a little different from a lot of the builds you see at SEMA typically, and certainly from what we've seen in the last 2 years. I like that this has a bit of a throwback style, and they did a lot of paint matching on it to kind of change the look from all of the black plastic that you usually see on the regular Bronco. So right off the bat, just walking up on it, you can see they've got these flared fenders that completely replace the factory fenders, still give some more coverage over the tires, but you don't have the removable plastic sections anymore. Then they also painted the front grille white, which is very classic and traditional to the original Bronco, and then that ties in well with these white DMAXRYNO wheels that they've got down below. So I think that it's a good little bit of a throwback styling that they're going for. Obviously they even have the Bronco badges on the sides that are like the original Bronco. And then another thing that you probably noticed is the paint matched hardtop. So overall, that look is pretty slick, and I'm a big fan of this Area 51 kind of grayish blue. So obviously it speaks to me on that level, but as far as some of the other equipment is concerned, it seems to be sitting on about a 3-inch ready lift system, like a spacer with their upper control arms and some stuff like that. So that's where they're getting the clearance for these 37-inch Falcons that are on here. And then for the Expedition One equipment that I was talking about, the front bumper is obviously Expedition One with the Come Up Winch mounted in there. It's very clean lines, pretty simplistic, good looking bumper with a bit of a push bar at the top, or Baja bar, whatever you want to call that. Then it's got the Expedition One rock sliders down the side and a bumper in the back with the swing out for the spare tire. So pretty good setup there. They also have the roof rack from Expedition One up top. There's a whole bunch of Dial Dynamics lights kind of scattered across that, so this thing's got plenty of lighting for pretty much any situation you'd need, and also some Pelican cases at the back for a little additional storage. But overall, they didn't really overdo it as far as tacking on accessories and lights. I feel like it's a pretty tasteful amount, which is part of why this build has been turning some heads and people have kind of been making their way back over to see it. It just catches your eye at a distance. I think that's everything for this build, so let's move on to the third Bronco. We've worked our way over to the Road Armor booth for the last Bronco build, and their setup is pretty sweet because this is moving away from some of the more overland focused builds to something that feels a bit more like a true rock crawler or trail rig that isn't kind of loaded down with roof racks and stuff like that. It's a little more simplified as far as some of the exterior accessories are concerned. But one of the first things you'll see is these giant Fiberworks fiberglass flares. This thing is massively flared on the sides, and it's sitting on 37-inch Toyos, so it's not too crazy of a tire size. You know, pretty much all the Broncos we've showed you guys are on 37s, but it looks really nice, and it's sitting on a Baja Kit suspension system that's utilizing King coilovers with external resis as well, and that's kind of why the stance is wider overall. It's not just like a wheel spacer or a different offset, so it's a really good pairing with the fiberglass flares because it just gives it a menacing look. And I love that they kind of have it propped up on these fake rocks, so you get a bit of a sense of how much this thing can actually flex and the ability that it has to really truly crawl. Now with that, we've got Road Armor bumpers front and rear, and then up front you'll see they have a Smitty built winch in here and some lighting tucked in, but it's really not too dressed up overall. Like I said, they didn't tack on a lot of accessories, and most of the stuff that is on here fits really nicely and cleanly. So I like the look of Road Armor's bumper, and also the gloss black grille and everything is kind of a nice little touch. You'll definitely notice the purple accents on this, which I don't know if it's going to be everyone's cup of tea. It actually has grown on me. I really like just a little bit of a punch of color, especially because most of the truck is gray and black, but they have the little purple R, obviously the purple rings on the wheels, and just a couple little accents like that around the truck. And then they actually even went through the effort of changing all of the anodized blue stuff on the King equipment over to purple to match as well. So I do like the attention to detail there, and you can tell that there's a lot of pride and effort in this build, which is why it was one of the ones I wanted to feature. So overall, I think this is a great build to wrap things up for our top 3 Bronco video, and there are a ton of Broncos at the show. I'm sure you guys are seeing quite a few of them popping up on social media, so definitely leave some comments below. Let me know what you think of the builds that we showed you, or what builds you've seen that you really like. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it if you stuck it out to the end, and I will see you next time.